Ever get stuck wrestling with your keyboard and mouse, trying to make them work between two computers? Ugh, some days it feels like half my workday is just switching back and forth.
Right.
But there's this new gadget, LoopMotion, and if it lives up to the hype, maybe those days of frustration might be over, right?
Yeah, it definitely has the potential. They're calling it the world's first proximity-powered switching. And from what I'm seeing, it's not just a fancy KVM switch. This is something different. This is new.
Right. The way they describe it, you just move your mouse to the edge of one screen and boom, you're controlling the other computer. No buttons, no hotkeys, just pure motion-activated magic.
And you bring up a key point there. How does it work? Because, advanced motion detection sounds cool, but there's got to be some serious tech under the hood. I'm really curious to hear more about the mechanisms involved.
Me too. And they mention it works with pretty much anything, Mac, Windows, even Chrome OS.
Oh, wow.
So I'm picturing a developer's dream jumping between a code editor on one screen and testing on a virtual machine on another, all without ever touching a button.
Exactly. That kind of cross-platform compatibility is huge, especially as more and more people are juggling multiple operating systems on a daily basis. It speaks to a broader trend of simplifying our digital interactions and minimizing those micro-interruptions that chip away at our productivity.
And speaking of those micro-interruptions, LoopMotion claims the average USB switch takes 3.5 seconds to switch. Now, that might not seem like much, but think about how many times a day you're switching back and forth. Those seconds add up.
They absolutely do. There's a growing body of research showing that even those seemingly insignificant interruptions can have a major impact on our focus and cognitive flow. In fact, some studies suggest that it can take up to 25 minutes to fully regain your concentration after a distraction.
Wow, 25 minutes. Okay, now I'm really paying attention. So if LoopMotion can eliminate that switching lag and keep us in the flow, that could be a game changer for productivity.
It could indeed. And it's not just about speed either. They're also emphasizing the importance of a seamless transition, keeping your mouse pointer in the same position across screens.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's those subtle details that often make the difference between a frustrating and a truly intuitive user experience.
Totally. Have you ever been working on something that requires real precision, like graphic design or video editing, and you switch screens only to have your cursor jump to a completely different spot?
Oh, yeah.
It's infuriating.
It is. It breaks your concentration and completely disrupts your workflow. It sounds like LoopMotion has put a lot of thought into those pain points and designed a solution that addresses them head on.
It certainly seems that way. And hold on to your hats, folks, because this thing is absolutely packed with features, especially for gamers. They've got a dedicated gaming mode with a blazing fast 1000 hertz polling rate, whatever that means, and a feature that locks your focus on a single screen so you don't accidentally jump to another computer in the middle of a match.
Ah, yes, the polling rate. That refers to how often the mouse sends its position data to the computer. So a higher polling rate means lower latency, which is crucial for gaming. It's the difference between your actions registering instantly and that frustrating lag where you feel a step behind.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I guess that focus locking thing would be pretty important for gamers too. Can't be winning any races if your mouse suddenly decides to take a vacation to your second monitor.
Exactly. But it's not all about speed and twitch reflexes. They also have this precision mode, which, that got me thinking. It seems they're targeting users who need pinpoint accuracy, graphic designers, video editors, maybe even architects working with CAD software.
That's a good point. Yeah, it shows they're not just catering to one type of user. They're really trying to cover all the bases and provide a solution that works for a wide range of workflows and tasks.
And that's smart because as we become, increasingly reliant on multiple devices, those transitions and handoffs need to be as smooth and intuitive as possible. It's about reducing that cognitive load and allowing us to focus on the task at hand, regardless of what device we're using.
It's like they're trying to create this invisible bridge between our devices so we can move seamlessly from one to the other without even thinking about it.
Precisely. Yeah. And that's where this whole idea of proximity-based switching becomes really interesting. If they can pull it off, it could fundamentally change how we interact with our technology. Imagine a world where your devices anticipate your needs based on your proximity, automatically connecting and disconnecting as you move from one workspace to another.
Now that's a future I can get behind. But for now, let's get back to the present and talk about some of the other features LoopMotion is boasting about. They mention a power settings dashboard, which, to be honest, doesn't sound terribly exciting at first glance. I mean, power settings. Not exactly the sexiest feature, is it?
True, true. But often it's those less glamorous features that reveal a deeper understanding of user needs. Like giving users control over power management suggests they've considered different use cases.
Okay, yeah.
Someone who wants to conserve battery life versus someone who prioritizes instant on responsiveness.
That's a really good point. It's like they're saying, hey, we're not just going to dictate how this thing works. You have the power to fine-tune it to your liking.
Exactly. And that ties back to the broader theme of personalization and customization in tech. We're seeing this trend across the board, from operating systems to apps, where the goal is to empower users to create an experience that's tailored to their individual workflows and preferences.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so LoopMotion seems to check a lot of boxes. We've got seamless switching, wide compatibility, gamer-centric features, and even those small but impactful design choices. But, let's be real, it all sounds a little too good to be true.
You're right to be cautiously optimistic. I mean, we've seen plenty of hyped up tech products that didn't quite live up to the marketing. It's important to remember that this is still a product in development.
Yeah. And they're launching a crowdfunding campaign, which, that's exciting, but also comes with, inherent risks.
For sure.
It'll be interesting to see how it performs in real-world testing. How accurate is the motion detection? Does it truly deliver that seamless, lag-free experience they're promising? We'll have to wait and see.
Those are the million-dollar questions. And beyond the technical specs, there's also the question of user adoption. Will people embrace this new way of interacting with their devices, or will they stick with the familiar, even if it's a bit clunky?
It's a gamble, for sure. But hey, that's often the case with innovation, right? Someone has to take that first leap and see if it sticks.
Absolutely. And win or lose, LoopMotion has already achieved something significant. It's sparked a conversation. It's made us think differently about how we interact with our increasingly complex digital ecosystems.
And that's what this deep dive is all about, exploring those cutting-edge ideas and asking the big what-if questions.
Indeed. Whether LoopMotion becomes the next big thing or kind of fades into obscurity, it's pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and that's always exciting.
Absolutely. So for anyone listening who's tired of wrestling with their USB switch, keep an eye on LoopMotion. It might just be the game changer you've been waiting for.
Yeah, and if nothing else, it's got us all thinking about a future where our devices respond to our presence, seamlessly connecting and adapting to our needs. That's a future I'm excited to see unfold, one way or another.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that's a wrap on this deep dive into LoopMotion. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those curiosity gears turning.